Hello everybody, welcome back to the Farming Simulator 25 map guide. Today we're going to take a look at Lipinki. But before that, this video is brought to you by Joe Six-Pack American and Chasey Dog. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Lipinki map can be found at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Now this is a small Polish map. I would put the map to be approximately 40% the size of a standard map. Let me go ahead and read you the description. Welcome to Lipinki, a small Polish map that is perfect for small machinery. I've got to kind of agree there. This map has 66 fields, 75 viable areas, a BGA, a sawmill, several collection points, gas stations, several places for production including a carpenter, a spinnery, dairy, and this map has AI traffic, several forested areas, missions for transporting logs, crushing stones, and removing dead trees, varied terrain, autumn and winter details such as snowmen and mounds of leaves, collectibles. This map has 25 custom collectibles. They are golden mushrooms and much, much more. So let's go ahead and kind of take a look at the PDA itself. If we scroll out a little bit and stop here, you may not realize the real size of this map or lack of size of this map. But if we keep scrolling out till we get all the way zoomed out, you can kind of see how big this map is. Whereas typically when we zoom all the way out, right, we're going to see a good chunk of this open area being the playable map itself. Now we do have all the standard crops on Farm Sim 25 available for our gameplay here, so we do have quite a lot of potential variety on these smaller fields. If we come over here to our farmlands, you're going to see we start up by owning the main starting farm, which is going to be Farmland ID 74. This is in fact the only farm on this map, unless you want to go and buy a field and carve up a little bit of land for yourself. Now, if you do not happen to flag, yes, I want to own the starting farm, then you're going to need to buy this for basically $378,000. That's why I'd go ahead in any game mode, select you want the starting farm. That way you own this at the start. Regardless of if you own the farm or not, you do have starting machinery, but some of that machinery is in sheds that you can't open until you own the land. So that machinery really isn't all that useful to you until you do go ahead and buy this starting farm. As far as other things that we own at the start, well, we own field 1 for $8,388. We own field 29 for $81,648. We own field 45 for $43,344. And we own field 46 for $73,926. Other points of interest on this map, we do have a biogas plant here at Farmland ID 75, and it can be bought for $492,000. With respect to our crop counter, we do have the standard FS25 crop counter available on this map. If we look at our animals, our starting farm has a chicken pasture and a pig pasture. We do not have any animals at the start, though. We do have contracts on this map. And as I said, we have deadwood contracts, wood transport, and stone crushing, but we don't have stone crushing popping up at the moment. With respect to productions, this map has 5 productions pre-placed. We have a dairy, a bakery, we have a carpenter, we have the spinnery, and a sawmill. There are no production chains owned at the start. And with respect to our sell points, as I mentioned earlier, we have 6 sell points available to us on this map. If we look at our starting vehicles, we start out with the 650 kilogram front weight. We have the Agrimaz POV 5 XL plow. We have the Aprilia RX 125 motorbike, Dudesfar Agristar 831 tractor. We got the FarmTech EDK 650 trailer. We have the Credo 3, and that is paired up with the Versa planter. The Credo 3 is a power harrow. The Versa is a seeder, and you pair those up and use them in conjunction with each other. We've got the John Deere 3650 tractor, the CrossMax 300 disc cultivator, and the Eco Cultivator 300. We also have a Massey Ferguson 1840 small square baler. Then we have the 8570 harvester, header and header trailer. And then we wrap it all up with the Silek RZK 300H fertilize spreader. Now, if we look at our shop, we come to our mods and DLCs. You will see that this map does not have any custom vehicles or implements. Now, keeping to kind of the trend with Polish maps, we start here at a bus stop. Seems like most Polish maps have us starting here at the bus stop. And again, if we look at the PDA down there in the lower left, you can see overall the big square, the big green square, that would be a standard size map. So you look at the actual play area there, and it may actually be smaller than 40% of a standard map, but that's the number that I'm going to kind of stick to. From our bus stop, well, we've got our BGA located here to our left. The main drag of town is over here to our right. And our starting farm, well, it's right there past those trees. So let's just kind of go ahead and make our way down the lane here. Field 1, we own that one at the start. Field 29, it's located right here to our right. We own that one at the start. Road takes a little bit of a dog leg here to the left. And while we're here to our left, well, we can kind of talk about what's going on right here, and that is that this is going to be our animal dealer. So here we have the trigger to buy animals. We have the animal dealer sell point. Of course, we have our good friend Kate located here, and our various animated animals are around back. We're going to hang a right at the intersection with the animal dealer, and this is what's going to bring us down here to our starting farm. So we have our lane into our starting farm located right here. We have our grain silo, so we have our dump and fill point for that. We have our chickens. So we have a total of 20 chickens in our chicken coop. We have the food trough and our egg spawn point right there. We have our sleep trigger at our farmhouse. And while it looks like Walter is associated with this farmhouse, and in all of the starting farms, or starting maps with respect to Farm Sim, we've not been able to sell the farmhouse that Walter seems to be associated to, but we can indeed do that here. In fact, we can sell all of the buildings that are here on the starting farm if we wanted to, just to clear everything out and start afresh. We have our pig pen located right here. We're going to be able to store 25 pigs in this particular facility. Our straw trigger is going to be inside of here. And then we have our food trough right there. As I mentioned, all of your starting vehicles and implements are, for the most part, going to be in sheds that you cannot get to if you do not own the land, because you will not be able to actually open any of these doors. That is pretty much the starting farm. So our harvester's down here, all ready to go on this field. It's ready for harvest, and every time I load this map up, this is a field of canola. Now, before we jump into our fly mode and fly around and take a look at the various sell points and productions on the map, I do want to go ahead and look into build mode and see how that is all set up, if there's custom buildings that are tied to this map. Now, given the file size of this map, I would pretty much lay a good bet that we are only looking at base game things here in build mode, that there aren't any custom productions or anything else like that. And, well, if I said that, I would be I would be incorrect because we do have a dairy that we could put down. In fact, from our starting farm, if we go to west, here is the dairy. Right here, it looks like we could put another dairy down if we wanted to. Everything else is looking fairly standard. Let's go ahead and take a look here at our ground textures. Nice assortment of ground textures. We have standard trees and standard shrubbery. Now, if we get a little bit of altitude, and we can kind of see how the lay of the land goes here. The fields have some nice subtle rolling fields, rolling hills. The fields that are kind of traditional Polish style, long and rectangular, they do have the ability to fairly easily merge these together into a single field if you own them all, just by getting rid of a few trees and shrubs that are in between. So from our starting farm, which is located right here, we've already talked about the animal dealer, which is located right here, right on the outskirts of the farm. Everything on this farm can be sold, excluding the pond and the dock. So if you wanted to completely redo this home farm area, you could do that by selling all these buildings and putting your own down. But do know you will not be able to get rid of the pond because the dock there is going to be permanently a part of the map. If we come west of our starting farm, here we have our dairy. And the dairy is both a sell point and a production. So we have the sell point for our dairy right here along the side, our interactive icon, our dump point for production, and then our spawn point for our pallets. Across the street from the dairy, we have the biogas plant. We have 2 pull-through bunkers, and then we have our BGA. Now, these triggers aren't popping until we actually own the biogas plant. Once we buy the biogas plant, then these triggers will pop up, but we have our digester. We're going to have our dump point for our slurry into the BGA, and then we have our fill point for our digestate. If we continue west from here, we're going to come over here to Farmer Ben's farm, basically an AI farm. This is where we're going to find Farmer Ben. And we have 2 sell points. We have a grain sell point located right here. And then past the shed, we have a bale sell point. Now, I'm going to take us back to the main road, because from this point, we're going to make our way north along the main road. And that's where we're going to find all of our other points of interest. So we have our dairy, which we've already talked about. Our biogas plant, which we've already talked about. And here we have our spinnery. We're going to have our dump point for our cotton or wool. We have our interactive icon there. And we're going to have our spawn point for our pallets there as well. We continue up the road just a wee little bit. We have another grain sell point here at this AI farm. And continuing up the main road again, we come over here to our fuel depot. We have our sawmill. So we have our pallet point, we have our dump point, we have our interactive icon, and our wood cell trigger there. Further up the main drag, and then over here to our left, we have another grain sell point. So this particular area is way over here to the west, and it is going to be the local carpentry So we have our dump point, we have our wood cell trigger, we have our interactive icon, and we have our pallet spawn point here on the other side of the fence. There's our sawmill we've already talked about. Now this feels a little bit like an opportunity missed. We have here several deco greenhouses, and we have a sell point that is labeled Greenhouse Keeper. So here we have the Greenhouse Keeper sell point. Also, it's going to be a bale sell point. But we've got, well, 2 medium greenhouses, or no, sorry, 2 large greenhouses and 4 medium greenhouses. These are just deco items. They're not buyable. So you can see here, I'm in the farmland screen. I can click, I can go to buy things. But sadly, this area is in the unbuyable area. So we do not have the option of buying any of this stuff. I feel like it's a little bit of an opportunity loss because it would be nice to be able to buy these greenhouses and have them be functional. Now, if we make our way back here, back to town, there is a road that's going off here to the east. And if we take that road, well, here we have our vehicle shop. So we have our dealer trigger located right here on the right. And we have our shop trigger at the door. And then I'm not really sure what this trigger is all about. Well, this is going to be a buy point, just like our warehouse. So here we have the ability to buy our planks, long planks, prefab walls, wooden beams, fabric, clothes. Pretty much the 9 yards available here that you can buy, just like you can at any of the base game warehouses. We also have a lime station located here as well. And folks, from the PDA, that is pretty much it. There's not a lot going on here, which is both a good thing and, well, depending on who you are, possibly a bad thing because some people like to have really busy maps, lots of things going on. This is pretty much a focus on small scale or medium scale farming in the Polish style. So smaller, more rectangular style fields. We've got a nice sampling of sell points, but nothing too over the top. We've got a few productions, but again, nothing too over the top, and a single farmyard. Maybe it'd have been nice to have seen one of these areas kind of set up as a secondary buildable farmyard, as opposed to having to take and absorb an entire field for that purpose. Another thing to note is there are areas where we do have utility lines and poles in the fields. These locations, these do have collisions. So you see we will run right into these if I can get it lined up, and we're either bumped out of the way or we get stuck. It's hard to show you in fly mode, but do note that these do have collisions on them. So your AI helpers will kind of try to avoid those. And, well, if you're going to be using Courseplay, there are settings to help you out with that. Now, I'd like to know what your all's thoughts are down in the comments below with respect to Lipinki. Is this a map that you played in previous Farm Sim releases? Because I do believe that this map has been out before. I don't know how far back the map goes, but I definitely remember the name of the map, and I suspect it was available in FS22, possibly even available in FS19 as well. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you remember this map in other Farm Sim versions, did you play the map back then, or are you going to play it today? And until next time, happy farming.